Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. How are you doing? Welcome back to the Love of Dubai Daily Live. I hope you've had a brilliant weekend and you are ready for the week. Are you ready for the week? Is that even possible? I feel like I get ready for the week on Monday. Like Sunday, it's just like a powering through day. It's not just me. It's hard to get out of bed. But especially after this weekend, like there was so much going on down in Abu Dhabi. I was down at Dub Drive, which was a very cool Volkswagen festival. Ironman was at Jumeirah Beach. I don't know if you were there, but there was a lot of road closures for that. We're going to talk about that later in the show, and we actually have someone, our boss Rich, who completed it. He actually did a really, really good time, and also some community stories. So Rich is going to come in and talk to us about it, and also a really cool kind of. I'll tell you about it when we get to it, but a very nice story that came from the Ironman. We're talking about some government fees were reduced over the weekend. But our top story, and also Redfest, were you guys at it? Are you recovering? It was 2 days down at Dubai Media City Amphitheatre. Stormzy, Noah Cyrus, Machine Gun Kelly, Bastille. It was a very, very good lineup. I heard obviously people there said it was absolutely fantastic. The energy with Redfest, I don't know why that concert just brings in like a whoosh. People get so excited for it. The crowd was absolutely phenomenal. It was packed. And then obviously the performers like played an absolute stormer on stage. Were you there? Did you enjoy it? Let us know your thoughts. Sorry about that. That was my phone. Moving on to our first story. This broke over the weekend. And it's also, we like to kind of bring you the coronavirus updates that we get directly from the Ministry of Health and Prevention. 2 new cases of coronavirus have been reported in the UAE. They were confirmed over the weekend by the MOHAP. This brings the total number of cases in the UAE to 7. And it's just kind of worth mentioning that they are in a stable condition, being watched very carefully by local authorities. They mentioned that 7 in total. The 2 new cases they mentioned nationalities are Chinese and Filipino, and they're being identified they were identified via continuous periodic screening in accordance with the World Health Organization. So kind of like best standard of practices brought right here to the UAE. They're under observation, and this is the highest standard of medical care. So all our updates come directly from that Twitter account that I kind of mentioned a couple of times. They also mentioned that they're working in coordination with all departments and concerned authorities to take all precautionary and preventative measures to kind of ensure the safety of residents and citizens. And one more story that came out about the coronavirus that I think is very, very important for us all to be aware of is that they announced, I think the Health Authority and the DHA license authority, that all kind of treatment, confirmed and suspected coronavirus treatments will be for free. So I think that's very, very important for everyone going in with insurance or without insurance. All the costs concerning coronavirus will be for free, which I think is really, really great to have been announced. For anyone kind of worried, if you're concerned, you can get all the numbers directly from that Twitter account, MOHAP, and a reminder to everyone to keep washing your hands. And something else is they said that there is no cure. However, there's lots of kind of precautionary and preventative actions that we can take. So if you are concerned, you can go into local health authority and they will be quick to help you. Moving on to our next story, more government fees will be reduced to reduce the cost of living in Dubai. So this was an announcement on His Highness Sheikh Hamdan's Crown Prince of Dubai's Twitter, and following an executive council meeting. And I think the story went live, and I think a couple of people are questioned what fees will be reduced, because some people said, does that mean school fees are going to be reduced? Does that mean your DIWA, your rent? However, some government costs will be reduced kind of to support investors coming to the UAE to help with business activity and to lower some living costs. So it's not costs across the board, but it's just some of them. So some that were mentioned in a tweet by His Highness were medical training activities, school awareness campaigns, and also entry fees to public libraries. So these are the costs that will be reduced that we know of now. But I think it's always really cool to hear that the government is working towards reducing costs of living. Chai, last week we talked about Chai is on camera today. Say good morning. Sorry, I didn't give you your good morning.
Good morning, Casey. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Chai. How are you doing?
Yes.
Are you ready for the week?
Yes, I am. I hope I am.
Yeah, me too.
It's still too early. It's Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. But on Thursday, we talked about a ruling from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, who's going to put 500 billion spend into neighbourhoods across Dubai, based on your suggestions, which I think is really cool. But now this story is government fees are going to be dropped. If you had to choose like a cost of living that is just very expensive for you, what would you say that would be?
I wouldn't say for me in particular, but I think schooling is very expensive in this region.
Yeah.
And I think education is something that shouldn't be too expensive and it should be open to all.
Well, there is private and public, you see.
But
Yeah.
then they have their like perks. It's actually hard to judge, but I would still feel like schooling is primarily one of the most expensive things right here.
Well, it's not applicable to you now, Chai, but
Yeah.
what about when down the road? How soon are you going to be?
Next question, please.
Next question. So Chai is also, there's a lot of comments that says schooling fees. We also talked about DWA maintenance actually, which is a big cost. But I'd love to get your thoughts on what you'd expect, because that story did kind of go widely, it was widely shared over the weekend because people were unsure about what fees would be waived. But moving on to our last story, guys, I really want to talk to you about this, an incredible moment at Ironman 7.3 and also the event itself, which happened down at Jumeirah Beach, Kite Beach on Friday, and also the junior athletes. We're going to talk about this story, and also we have an Ironman in the building. Our boss, Rich, actually completed it, so we're going to give him his moment to shine. Rich, can you join the show? He just walked in, by the way. This is not as staged as it looks. First of all,
thanks. Yeah, thank you.
congratulations.
I'm not an Ironman, unfortunately. I did attempt a full Ironman last year, and there were weather. They cancelled the swim, and there was mechanical issues on the bike. But so.
Can you explain to us what's the difference between an Ironman that you're talking about and the Ironman in Dubai?
Yeah, so it's not as stark as someone saying I ran a marathon when it's 10k and it's a full marathon. The Ironman, like a marathon's 42.2. Ironman has certain specific distances. It all stems from Kona in Hawaii in 1978. I think I got the year right. 10 or 12 people did the first ever Ironman. And there's some great kind of sporting story that evolved from that. There was a lady who kind of organized it, and there was a lot of claim over whether the athletes owned the Ironman brand, because over the years then it just became this huge, big international brand. And you see the logo, the M logo, and there's, I just saw on Facebook, there's groups of tattoo communities around Ironman. And it's an incredible kind of, triathlon is a real great community, just like running or just like football or things like that. And in Dubai particularly, you've got Tri Dubai, which is one of the biggest club communities in triathlon in the world. And because of the diverse communities that are here, you get so many different nationalities, and people compete in the races here during the season, the shorter distances. How long have we got? and then
Rich is a huge Ironman brand fan. You also love taking part in any way you can. Right?
I think when the Ironman brand, when it comes to the region, and there isn't a full distance yet. So full distance is double what was here.
Yeah.
And what was here at the weekend was 1.9 kilometers in the sea. So the fastest, and with Ironman the pros come as well. So the
prize money is huge. I think the prize money for this one was 110k. And it went to a Belgium athlete who completed it in 3 hours 33 minutes. 3:33, yeah. And how did you get it? How far did you did your PB, right?
Yeah. So basically, so the pros come and they do this exact same course. They start a little bit before us, and they travel around the world. And but we're known as the category. It's a word for us, just the regular, and we try and qualify in slots for the World Championships, and every year they're in a different place. This year they're in, I can't pronounce it, Tapao in New Zealand in December, and there was 40 slots, but there was a little bit of a mix-up at the weekend on the swim, on the time chip, so they couldn't do the announcements in Jumeirah Beach Hotel in the podiums on Saturday night. There was a big mix-up. But yeah, it was a little bit controversial. But my time was fine. I did 1.9 in swim in the sea. I did that in 37 minutes, not super fast. 1:55 per kilometer, and then got on the bike. So you just do a transition. Then you have to the night before you have to remember to have everything in a coloured bag, because it's your only chance. And then you run through the transition. So you have to make sure whatever you're taking, nutrition, helmet, shoes, all the things for the bike are ready. And then everyone's got a plan on the bike. They know when they're drinking water, frequency, and when they're eating what types of foods, lots of carbs, lots of salts. And we cycle all the way out. And there was over 30 referee officials, volunteers from Dubai, on the roads, making sure there wasn't drafting, because you're not allowed draft when you do normal cycling and Grand Fondos or different kind of races. You can draft, but on the triathlon you're not allowed to draft. You have to be 2 bus stands behind the guy in front of you.
That must be hard to monitor.
It's hard to monitor, and there was a big fuss over drafting last year. So they try, and if you get caught drafting, you have to overtake in 25 seconds. And if you're behind the bike and you're not overtaking, it's a yellow card, and then that's 30 seconds in the bin. And there's literally a penalty tent at the next transition. If you don't go in, if you think that they didn't write your number down and you don't go in, you're disqualified. They're really, really strict on rules.
It's so competitive too.
So we went all the way out, and it's a little bit of headwind on the way out. We went out past Al Qudra, on the right turn to Bab al Shams, turn around, back in, tailwind behind us, up to about 45, almost 50 kilometers an hour at some point. Did hit 50, but you're still watching. You're making sure not drop the bar and blah blah blah. And you're trying to get the right water, and then you get to 90 kilometers. That's 90 kilometers. And you're coming back down into Jumeirah Beach, where there's loads of support, and you're getting ready for the run. And the run then is on that lovely Jumeirah Beach track, all the way from Burj Al Arab down to the canal, back, and then halfway back out again and back. So I did it. I was happy because it went well. I did it in 4 hours 38. So that was 20 minutes faster than I did it last year. I'm doing Oman in 2 weeks' time as well.
That's amazing. But also, like, it's I know it's a half Ironman, but for some people, like, this is kind of peak. This is like what you work for. Like, people are training months and months for this, right?
A half Ironman would be similar amount of training, different disciplines, but the amount of training you do for a marathon. Marathons you can do depending on whoever you are, 2, 3, 4 hours or whatever. Whereas the Ironman, it can be a little longer, but it's not. The bike wouldn't be as strenuous. The heart rate wouldn't be as high as the run. But the same, 12 to 16 weeks of training for a half Ironman, whereas a full Ironman, would be longer. And then they don't have a full distance yet in the region, so many people aim and train for full distances in different parts, and they travel for them. And the full distance is double that.
Okay. Well, and also what you said is training, preparing, and how it goes on the day. You have to kind of be making sure you're taking the right waters and the energies. And I didn't really intro this properly, but there's a really nice video beside us. So it can go either way on the athlete on the day for the athlete, right?
Yeah.
There's a video beside us which went viral.
Yeah.
So from like everyone training at Kite Beach, they saw an athlete kind of coming towards the end. This is at the very, very end of the entire, 90, is it 90K?
That was a half marathon. He finished the 90K bike and the swim, and that would have been about 12 or 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. It was hot, very hot.
A few hundred meters before the end, and his body looked like his body was failing him. He did not look like his mind was there, but his body wasn't. That's what the video looks like to me on the side.
Yeah,
and
he was falling over. So there were other athletes who carried him over the line to the finish line. There's a very famous video of, I think it's in the World Championships, of the Brownlee brothers, the British Olympians, and Alistair Brownlee carried his brother.
I remember this vaguely.
And what happens is all the kind of, basically your legs go like jelly and wobbly. Like it's just to do with lactic acid, salts and nutrients, and you just, even if you fuel up, you just haven't put on enough fuel and you lose it too quick, and then you start getting a bit dizzy and hallucinating, and it just all goes wrong. So
you had a similar moment last year, no?
No, after the race last year, I did go into the medical tent. I was a bit fatigued, but it wasn't quite as
We're just watching it now as he comes in. So I mean, but what was amazing, like, what was the option? He either could have stopped there, surrounded by hundreds of people, but these athletes who are also going for their best times at their end of their race, coming in to help him. I just think it's such a nice moment. Yeah,
but there is a rule against it. I'm not sure exactly what the rule is, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can get assisted over the line. I think he can be carried up like that, but he has to cross the line himself, and you can't coordinate a finish either. You can't. So say if you want to cross the line like with your partner or with your friend or whatever, or you're training, you can't actually, because that's like match fixing. You know what I mean? Like it's like in Formula One where you can't really you can't manipulate a result.
Yeah.
So you can help like that, but you can't actually manipulate a result.
Well, knowing Rich and other triathletes and people who train really hard, I love how competitive and how strict it is, because I think it's so important for everyone to get like their exact times. I like that.
Yeah. Well, the timing is part of it, and definitely there's a competitive nature to it. But it's just main thing. We enjoy it. Like we don't. Sure, there are times when you're looking at your sets and your training. You're at Al Qud, you're in DX bike, or we try to buy swims. They do beginner swims on Wednesday, free open water swims on the beach down there at Roy's Beach. It's called after Roy Nasser, who was one of the founders of Try to Buy and sadly passed in that road accident a few years back. So that's a great community there to Try to Buy, but there's also lots of sub-communities. And even though we do want to finish our sets, it's I was explaining to someone over the weekend that it's just like when you were playing sport when you were younger. You don't look at the time. It gets dark and you're playing football, and like that's what most people are out there doing. It. They are competitive, and we are watching our times. we are competitive, but like only to ourselves. Like I wasn't trying to beat anyone at the weekends, and I would just want to enjoy it. I didn't have a time. I knew on the run that I was well ahead of my best last year, and I was still enjoying it. I loved all the support, and it's a good event, and hopefully there's one in Oman, and there might be one in Saudi eventually, and it's just good because this is the 5th year I think that Dubai has held the Ironman, and it's just they aren't guaranteed to stay forever, so it's great that. I think 2,500 people.
It's amazing that Dubai closes the roads for this, right?
Yeah, and they extended this time. They extended extra lanes, so all those roads were closed for a few hours on Friday. Sorry to those who were disrupted. But there was even I saw some video of a police lady getting out of her car just to cheer on the riders as well. Like there's lots of good support out there, so lots of good stories, and the athletes really appreciate it.
Well, that's exactly it. After 5 years, I think the support is growing, which I think is really nice. Thank you for that insight, which
No
you
problem.
wouldn't get otherwise. Guys, we are back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.